ladies and gentlemen? We are the Millie Goats. It is episode 385, and it is April 8th, 2026. Let's be the first to wish you and yours a happy National Pygmy Hippo Day. And let's just say we've got an absolute treat here for everyone. If you're listening to the podcast, thank you for listening on YouTube, all that stuff. Hit the like, the subscribe, rate, review anywhere you find your podcast, anything like that. It is Masters Eve, and we've got a very special guest. We've got one of the brightest writers, the brightest minds in golf that I've ever met. So far is and we're gonna get to talk to him for about an hour here on the show to talk full on Masters, all Masters. I forgot to wear my green jacket. I'm really upset. That's why I went upstairs. Just know that I do have a green jacket. We've got on the show tonight a 3-time Fantasy Sports Writer Association Writer of the Year, Golf Writer of the Year 2021 and 2024, Research Article of the Year 2025. It is from TeeOffSports on Twitter. It is Spencer Aguiar. Masters Week, dude. Woo!
I really appreciate the intro, man. It's shows like this and it's information that we can talk about on Masters Eve that's very exciting to me. And we will dive through this entire board. I'm sure we're going to talk about everything before this is done in the next hour. So I really appreciate you having me on, man.
Thank you for coming on. And it is like, I'm sure you're just like me. Like we were talking before the show. I love golf. And then I meet people, how we met kind of Byron and the Model Maniac, if you don't know Byron, kind of our interactions and things like that, where I love golf. I love watching golf. And then I read the things that you guys do and you're able to put together and the depths that you guys are able to go to really break down golf into like almost a kind of a systematic science. It's unbelievable the way people will see. We're going to go over some of your articles that you've written about how you are able to make this information that you get and present it to the reader in a way that's like, wow, that's really a lot of information, but it's very readable. And that's a skill. So I can see why you have so much credentials after reading some of your articles, or most of your articles.
Yeah, thank you, man. It's something that I put every single waking moment that I have into. I came into this space in 2018. I was covering all sports for about 2 or 3 years there. And then during the COVID time, I decided to make a switch over to golf primarily. And that's when I began releasing my models for everybody. And, one thing has led to the next over these last 5 years or so. And awards have come and opportunities have come. And I'm very thankful for everything. But like, you are correct where Byron and I, when I talk to him about it, we both talk about it. Like it's almost a mad scientist sort of a thing, because I know he does the same thing on his that I do on mine. A lot of my calculations are not just the rudimentary approach of how to look at a golf tournament. Like everything is broken down very specifically into a course specific breakdown. I'm trying to find weighted strokes gained total of how a player is projected for this week to play at Augusta National versus what the baseline is elsewhere. And you look at enough of those answers and you start seeing how it mixes and matches and how players get better or worse in projection when you go from course to course. That's how you find your value on a slate. It's one of those things where I know everybody wants the easy answer of, hey, we're able to find value because the Masters is a very tricky one, man. Trends galore. Like the article we're going to go through of mine, it's a hard hitting trends article, but at my very core, I'm a lot more than what trends would be. And I think trends actually make betting golf a little bit more challenging. Just because books are able to react to trends and they know where people are going to go. And one of the articles that you talked about for best research article that I won, the whole premise of the article was sharp versus square DFS players and where they find the most success and where they find the least success. And it was kind of surprising. And please, if you haven't read it yet, check it out. It's pinned on my page on Twitter right now.
Yes.
The premise of the article is sharps are not as sharp compared to the squares as you would think. They were a couple percent better in not missing the cut. They were a couple percent better in projecting top 10 finishes. It adds up over the course of time, but it's not this number where it's you see this glaring difference. Where the glaring difference comes into play are the spots where the sharps over leverage or under leverage themselves at the very top of the board. So it's these outlier decisions of, I am going to be massively overweight to these 5 players versus I'm going to be massively underweight to these 5 players. And the sharps are consistently much better at that. But The caveat to that entire answer is if you look specifically at the Masters is a very square tournament historically, and it's because of the trends in the data and a lot of those things that come into play. So, I think that's at least something to keep in mind for this week. I think from an overall, like, overarching standpoint, you have to be aware of that. But no, this is a tournament that, whether you are new to the sport or you watch every single week, you kind of know Augusta. You've seen it on television before.
Oh, and the article I put the Patreon link is at anywhere in the show description. In the show description, you can find that and it'll be in the podcast description, all that stuff. You just go there, click that, and you've got all that going. You got the Patreon, the Discord, it's when we get into this article and we really break it down, like it's fun to read to me because I'm like, man, this is the stuff where it just kind of funnels itself right into where you want to be. It's incredible. I love reading it. So, on the show today, we're going to talk about some headlines. We got a couple of things we're going to go over first. The Masters headlines. We got to talk about the par 3 that happened today. The menu from Rory, the picture, we've got a whole bunch of stuff that we're gonna get into, and then we're going to talk about this. Why we're here is like we love, put out your pimento cheese sandwiches and milk for Nick Faldo and Brandon Chambly so they can come down the chimney tomorrow on Masters Eve. We're here to kind of figure out who's going to win this thing. Like, who are we going to be pulling for? Who are we going to root for? Who are we going to bet on? Who are we going to put in our DFS lineups? Like, all this stuff, man. Like, and if you're Mark Calcavecchia, sorry that your tournament was ended prematurely because you got thrown out for using your phone, dude. But the rules are the rules, man. I do have a couple of questions before we get into these headlines. Icebreaker questions. Is this the greatest sporting event ever? The pageantry, the history, because you could say the Super Bowl, you could say the Final Four, you could say, Olympics, you could say, but I don't know that there's another event that is this, I don't even know what to call it, traditional and it's unlike any other event. So I'm always like, Masters Week is a very special week. What do you think?
I would say Masters, Kentucky Derby. Those are the two that come up for me because they are such outliers. And there's tradition around it. You can date it back and kind of see the history that plays itself out. Like baseball has the history, but I don't think the World Series and baseball are in the spot that they used to be in. You talked about the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl's fun. There's an event around there that I think is fine. That would probably be in the top 4. I think March Madness is the other one. The opening 2 days of March Madness, like when I was young, that was as good as it used to come. And unfortunately now, and I know we just got done with the tournament, like I'm kind of very deep in the weeds when it comes to golf. So I don't have time to enjoy a lot of these other sports. So like for me personally, because I am living in the golf world 24/7, it doesn't get better than this as a golf fan. This is our Super Bowl.
I love it. Wimbledon came to mind too. That's a good one.
Sure. Yeah.
Wimbledon's great. Great grass at Wimbledon too.
Yeah.
And before we get into the headlines, do you have a favorite hole at Augusta? I have one in mind. That's my favorite. I
like the par 5s on the back 9, just because there's the risk reward on a couple of those holes. And like, you kind of see that the game changing aspect of a tournament that comes into play. Rory can just as easily hit it in the water on one of those holes as he can then do something spectacular on the next. And I think that when you get down to the very stretch of it, 18 is very iconic because the tournament's won and lost on that hole also. But like, I'm very biased to the last closing stretches of holes. So if you take 13 in for Augusta, I think that's like very, very hard hitting. And you also get 12. 12 is a great hole too. There's just a lot of really iconic holes, and there's a reason why the Masters, they're all known by name. Like you couldn't go to other courses and know what the name of the hole is, but whether you are a diehard fan that knows all 18 of them, or you just know a couple of them or know them from a picture or know them from when you've seen them in the past, there is a real identity behind them. And that identity and having 18 holes of that is what makes this venue and this course as iconic as it is.
Oh my gosh, man. You can I love the Masters because you you watch Thursday and you kind of forget about the holes, and then they start coming back to you. And you're like, oh, yeah, I remember that. And then you're watching it because now you're very familiar with who has to hit what where. And I think that's an intimate setting of the Masters that you don't really get at a lot of other courses, especially other majors, because they move around, right? But I like my favorite hole is 16. I love 16 because I know when I'm watching that par 3, 1, because it's down the stretch, 2, because on the Sunday pin location, they have it tucked down there on the left side. And if they hit it just right, that thing is going to trickle down toward the hole, and we've got ourselves a hole-in-one watch. And I think that's one of the most nail-biting parts of hole number 16, which is my favorite hole. I love that hole. So,
and there's danger like that. That's what makes holes exciting, is when you have the opportunity. Like B. McCormick said, hole 13 is his all-time favorite. Like that's probably mine too. Like 13 and 15 are just super iconic there down the stretch, and 16 for the reasons you talked about. Anytime that there's a high risk, high reward opportunity, and you can go into the water on the par 3, or you can funnel that thing right back to the hole on a Sunday pin location. You can get stuck in a bunker. You can get stuck in different places, and you can see massive discrepancies take place over those last 5-6 holes based off of how a player plays. And you have to win this golf tournament. It's no different than when Tiger won this a handful of years back. We get to 12 and he is behind, and all of a sudden you look at those last 6-7 holes and everybody falters, and Tiger becomes vintage Tiger, and he captures the tournament. And that's what those holes give you.
I still remember where I was when he did that. I was at my grandfather's house, and then we had to leave for some reason. And my wife, I was like, you have to drive. I was like, I have to watch the end of this. This is history. We're watching history right now. We can't not watch this. And the whole time I had it blaring on the Bluetooth speakers in the car because I wanted to hear the crowd. That's the best part. So, okay. Edge is here. He came in. Edge is actually coming in on the road here.
What's up, dude? I'm in a hotel, so I have a shitty connection.
Look, he was about to pop in there to say that the greatest sporting event ever is some sort of Clemson football game. Like that's
national championship, dude. Got a tour at a football players facility today. Saw all the ACC championship trophies, national championship trophies, all the rings. I mean,
yeah, good luck.
I was ready to sign up and put the pads on.
That's not going to happen anytime soon, dude.
Not at all.
Clips is done.
Not at all.
Done.
There's also an age limit that they're talking about now too. So,
okay, are we ready to get in it? Let's get into the Masters. Let's do it. I mean, we've been kind of getting into the Masters, but I'm gonna hit the salute because we're about to salute the Masters. Everybody, shh. All right, I'm trying to get my Dad Blame green jacket on. I got my cord all ripped up in here, but I have a green jacket that I wear every Masters. My wife kindly, I got my arm all jacked up in here. My wife kindly brought it down. But, ladies and gentlemen, first things first. Let's get to some of these headlines, and then we're going to go through these articles and such and really learn about the Masters and what to look for. The first thing we got to talk about, and I was scared because I put this on there because I thought, my gosh, I'm going to play a lot of Aaron Rai. This is going to come back to bite me in the face because he won the par 3 today going away. Tommy Two Gloves, Aaron Rai, par 3 champ. That means diddly poo correct, Spencer.
I mean, I think the one thing that it means, whether this is a positive or a negative answer, and maybe it depends on if you wanted to play him, I do think people will see that headline and they will be more inclined to potentially want to play him for DFS. And I think that it could give his ownership a very slight boost, which in theory makes him less playable. The actual winning of the contest, like, look, I don't think Aaron Rai is going to win this golf tournament, so that trend will probably continue, but I don't think that there's any significant factor that if you win the par 3 contest, you are now drawing dead to actually win Augusta.
Okay. I don't think, because I think Vijay Singh is the only one is he the champion that has won the par 3? I thought it was Vijay Singh. I'm pretty sure I saw some trivia question. I don't know. I've been watching a lot of Masters stuff here over the past few days. It's incredible. Okay. The weather. Have you seen the forecast?
Firm and dry is what it looks like it's going to be at this time. Look, I think if that ends up holding true, we're going to see a very unique and dynamic tournament down the stretch.
I love that.
If it's probably going to start easier than people think. We will see what it actually looks like, but Saturday, Sunday, this thing has the potential to turn into US Open like super slick greens. And we already know about all the undulation around Augusta to begin with. So you make this firmer and faster than it typically is. Players are going to be potentially struggling come the weekend.
I think they're going to – somebody was talking about 2 under, 3 under. I saw Byron said 15 under. That was his prediction, right? Did he say that?
I didn't see what he said. I mean, I think they're going to start quicker than people think, and then I think this thing is going to flatten itself out very, very quickly. Like, I wouldn't be surprised through the first 2 days if we're looking between 8 to 12 under, and then I kind of think the next 2 days it's either like over par if this thing gets completely away, at least from what the final 2 rounds would be for it, to maybe somebody goes, even to 1 or 2 under. But yeah, I mean, 15 is aggressive probably.
It's God, just look, because that they can turn the volume up and the heat up on this course more than any other course in the world. Like when they want to, they can make it treacherous. And I think that they're going to let the first 2 days play out, like you said, and then they're going to separate. They're going to weed people out up in here. So it's going to be phenomenal.
For in-tournament betting, I think that's where the true edge may come into play. If like we have the belief that it is going to become more difficult, I think that's where ball striking statistics and tee to green stats to begin with are going to become even more ramped up over the final 2 days. And that's kind of my bread and butter, is always trying to find matchups and value on rounds 2, 3, and 4. And I think that may be where the true edge lies in some of those positions.
Gosh, I can't. It's just, I can taste it. Do you care about the grass at all? Because I came across every year I screenshot this graphic about where they've cut the grass, and there's a certain vernacular you have to use. Like it's 5/16, 3/8 fairways. There is no rough. It's the second cut. If you call it the rough, they'll throw you out like Calcavecchia. You'll be on the streets, pal. The green surrounds the greens. Like it's got its own ecosystem, man. Like it's its own place. And the greens are an eighth of an inch. That's 2 quarters. You stack 2 quarters on top of each other. I did my research. But I think most dudes look at this and they turn to their wives and they're like, next year this is going to be our yard. And there's just no way. There's no way that you can achieve this. But a bunch of dudes are looking at each other or texting their group chat, be like, you think one of us can make this happen? That's
how close is Hen Dog trying to make his yard look like this right now?
Dude, I don't know. Like even my mother-in-law tonight, I have the Masters on every TV in the house, like the par 3's going, the Brandel Chambly's all over my TV, talking about who knows what. And my mother-in-law turns, she goes, "Look at how green that grass is. Like it's just its own thing, man. It's crazy." So, the dinner's champions, or the champions dinner. I love to analyze photos like this. Are these guys standing on booths back here? Do you know, or are these guys all just massive human? I know DJ is like 6'5". I don't know Adam Scott was a back row dude. Did you?
No, I don't know if they're standing on something or not. I mean, shout out if we want to. I'm wearing the UNLV hat right now. Shout out to Adam Scott. That's one of the prides and joys of UNLV golf there.
I didn't know he was a UNLV guy. I had no idea. Wow.
Yeah, we've had a handful of players come over the years. Like Kurt Kitayama is going to be representing UNLV at the Masters. Charlie Hoffman is not quite playing at the level that he once used to be, but no, there's a lot of players. It's UNLV is a very good golf school. Unfortunately, I know we can talk about Clemson maybe being on the wrong side. Like UNLV's on the wrong side of everything at this point. It's not good.
Well, they were okay in football this year.
Well, that's the most perplexing thing of everything is like we've become more of a football school now over the last 2 years than basketball. Yeah, like it's a wild turn of events that we've had there.
I think they did. So Hideki Matsuyama looks like, I don't know what he's there's always somebody in here that looks, confused. I think the other couple years ago was Phil Mickelson. And this photo sucks without Phil and Tiger, by the way. That's just my opinion. But I think they did Dustin Johnson and Adam Scott a really bad favor, or Nick Faldo, depending on you look. Because Nick Faldo has a pretty big head, and Dustin Johnson and Adam Scott do not. So, and John Rahm too. So I don't know if they plan that, but. And I think here's another take I have on this dinner. I think you have to wear a yellow tie. I don't know if all these different colored ties. I don't know about that. I feel like, there should be some rules in place, for the colors.
Would Tiger Woods be in this picture because Rory finally won it, even if he was sober right now and didn't wreck his truck?
Yeah, well, Tiger would be there.
No,
You don't miss the Masters. See, I don't know why Spieth is wearing a purple tie, that sort of thing. It's interesting. So I love looking at that stuff. The merchandise. Every year we get all these tweets about the merchandise, how they're changing the hats, this and that. I know, like, where do you stand on the rope hats with the names and they're gonna turn them the letters upside down soon. You know it's coming. That's what's about to happen here. They're testing the waters. Do you have any qualms with the merchandise? Because apparently they make $70 million a year off of this stuff.
Look, I mean, at the end of the day, if you make it limited edition merchandise for that year's Masters, like I think from a marketing perspective, some of that stuff is fine if you change the colors and want to do that. We've gotten very carried away, and it's not just the Masters that's doing it. It's all the golf tournaments that they're adding 3 different letters onto a hat. I mean, there's been some funny ones out there, like that are absolutely outrageous, that like look like they should not be what they say on it. And I don't know. I mean, it's a little money gouging on that for my taste. But I don't know. I like rope hats. I just don't love them with some of the weird little acronyms that we're putting on it.
Yeah, the pimento and the azalea. I don't know.
When are we going to say that when a word is upside down, it's supposed to be like shameful to it?
Yeah,
because in most gangs, like just street talk here. In most gangs, if you write a word upside down, that means you're disrespecting them. So why would you like? I saw a hat today that said Clemson upside down. I was like, I would never buy that hat because I don't disrespect the Tiger Town.
That's a great point, dude. The Masters, if they figure that out, there's no way they're going upside down. But it's funny to watch the people haul out their Masters gear. I don't know that I'd spend that much money on that stuff, but I might get a hat or a shirt or something. But holy moly, I mean, people go nuts in that thing apparently. But
yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I've heard, like, I mean, you look at the lines and it's I mean, it says 30 minutes long to get in. Like, I've heard it being so much worse than that in the past. Like, there's hours lines to get in, and when you get into that place, it's this mad dash trying to get in. I know they have those. I don't know how limited edition they actually are, but I know that they have those limited edition gnomes that everybody's like, they're very coveted, that people are trying to grab. I think they're in the picture back there somewhere, but I mean, there's collector's items that people want from every Masters. Like, from a marketing standpoint, they've done a great job of like making this some desirable mad dash every single year to get in there.
The gnome, I think they're stopping the production of what I've heard.
Are they?
So, yeah.
Interesting.
So that's gonna be a hot ticket. So
yeah.
All right, real quick, I got to get off here soon before you go to the menu. I want to know what's up with Bryson DeChambeau and this 3D iron or whatever that he took to the Masters. Is it real, or did I get got by?
I don't know. I haven't seen that. Have you seen that, Spencer?
I haven't seen it either. I mean, look, I can't speak on it because I don't 100% know. I haven't seen the picture of it, but Bryson is as out of the box with everything that he does and everything that he tries to do for marketing that I don't know. I mean, anything's possible with him.
All right. But I mean, you are a professional golfer with any brand just foaming at the mouth to get their name on you. And you're telling me you can't go to them and say, hey, I want this iron exactly like this. This pitch right here is what I need with this grip on it. And instead you got to go get a 3D printed one. Like, I'm not buying it. I think it's fake news.
But he does things. Remember, he's a YouTube golfer too. So he's got, he's pushing the envelope at all times.
Is he trying his own brand? Is he about to make his own golf clubs?
I'm sure he is. At some point he will.
Ooh. Hey, NBA's got their own shoes. DeChambeau's got his own clubs.
That's an interesting way to get into the market for sure.
Using Kirkland golf balls.
Lamar Jackson has the number 8. No, wait, Troy Aikman has that.
All right, I got to jump off because I'm in the hotel. My kids are literally like yelling at me to get off, so I'll give you a holler.
Right, hey, see you, Edge.
Good meeting you.
All right, last thing. What do you think of Rory's menu?
I like filet. I mean, filet is probably like, if I had a Masters menu, I would probably go filet lobster. I would go more chocolate on the actual dessert than like sticky toffee pudding. I would probably, I have a sweet tooth for everything chocolate. So like that menu would be Caesar salad to start. It would be kind of like an Italian thing there. And then filet, lobster, all the chocolates in the world at the end. So, I mean, look, he had a funny quote about it. I know he was talking about like, why did he not go more Irish with it? And he's like, well, I want to enjoy the dinner also. I think he did a good job with it. Like, I think overall, I mean, that is a meal that I would like to try. And sometimes people get very funky with it. And sometimes they hit it out of the park. I think his is pretty decent.
I agree. When I first read the peach and ricotta flatbread, I was like, oh gosh, he's going weird. And then I kept reading and I was like, oh, okay, bacon wrapped dates. I don't know about that, but the elk sliders. Oh yeah, the tuna, the fillet. Yeah, I'm with that. So I thought it was when I first read it, don't judge a book by its cover. I was like, no way. And then I started reading. I was like, okay, that makes sense. And he bought a whole bunch of expensive wine here. So
yeah, but
okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready to go.
Let's do this thing. Let's talk and let's get into. Let me pull this up real quick. I'm going back. We're screening. We got screens flying all over the place. We're gonna pull up your first article about the 7 deadly sins. So let me hit the segue music here real quick. Everybody. Okay, we made that little. I don't even know what it's called. Segue music ourselves. We wrote songs on this show that we use as part of our show. Oh my gosh, man. Unbelievable. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was going to say, I like all the little segue stuff you guys have. I like the intro that you guys have at the beginning of the little like guitar riff there and everything. I like it. I think it's, I'm all about on these shows. Like, you want to talk data and like, this is something that I've learned from being in this space for as long as I've been. But at the end of the day, entertainment goes a long way. And you guys have a very entertaining show that you guys put together. So you guys are doing a great job. It's just, bigger and better things throughout time.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we wrote an entire song that was an ode to football. We played it and we all sang different parts and harmonized it and all that stuff. It sounds really bad, but we laugh at every time. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Okay. So this article, and it's the cover for those of you who can't see listening to the podcast, we've got an article that Spencer has written. It's called The 7 Deadly Sins at Augusta, the Masters Picks and Trends. And it goes through 7 different segments, and it each one of the 7 deadly sins and talks about. I mean, you're going to explain it way better than I can. I'm just trying to give people who are listening. It's got this great cover art where it's looks like the Red Hulk, the Green Hulk. Everybody's all over the green at the golf course at the Masters. So take it away from here, and we're going to go right into it where it says sin number 1 is envy, and you got to tell people kind of who can win at Augusta and what this is all about.
Yeah, it's a fun article. Everybody has their own sort of rendition that they try to do for trends and what matters and what doesn't. And when I came into the space 8 years ago, one of the things I wanted to do was try to make as unique of a piece as I could while trying to turn it into things that I actually thought were useful. So I back tested a lot of the statistics through my model, and it's the 7 that I use for this article. And, funny enough, I had been on Rory for almost every single year before his victory last year. And 7 out of the 8 times that I've written this piece, it has landed the winner. And usually it cuts it down to somewhere between 9 to 14 names. And last year was the first year I did not have the winner on it with Rory. So it was one of those unfortunate things that if somebody was going to break the streak, it's very naturally Rory after betting him like 5 times. I almost became shell-shocked to even want to mention him on a show, which is like a terrible thing to be. You shouldn't be living like results oriented of it. But, his number got absolutely taken down last year. Like he closed at 5-6 to 1. So I do think it was a much different version of him than we normally were getting as like that 10 to 12 to 1 golfer. But yeah, so the 7 categories that I'm looking for, the number 1 sin for me is envy. And envy for me, and like I went through and I tried to figure out of the sins, which category fit each one of the things on it. So envy is like a feeling of discontented, resentful, To me, that's aging. It's a golfer that has become 45 years or older, and you're kind of over the hill from where you were at least from where you were 10 years ago of potentially coming into this tournament to win it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that like a name like Justin Rose or Adam Scott can't get themselves across the finish line. Like you don't just turn 45. And, Rose almost won this last year at 44. He doesn't turn 45 this year and go, I'm 45 now. Like, I'm too old to win this contest. But you have to draw the line somewhere to actually eliminate players. So it's 45 or older, and it ends up eliminating 10 names. They're like the very bottom of the board from Angel Cabrera down to, maybe Mike Weir down to Fred Couples. Like, all those names are going to be too old to begin with. They're not in their prime. They're not going to compete. I think we could probably say the same about Sergio and Bubba, and we just don't see them every single week now with them being on Live. The two that would be the most likely to buck the trend would be Rose and Scott. But as I said, you got to eliminate somewhere with it. So those 10 names got eliminated. Sin number 2 for me is lust. It's a powerful desire or hunger for something. So the way I view that category is, and you'll hear this a million times, there's been no first-time winner at this tournament since Fuzzy Zeller in 1979. And a lot of the reason for that just stems down to you have to know these green complexes. You have to know where you can miss. You need to know the ins and the outs of this course. And until you get a little bit more experience, you usually do not win this contest. Now, there are a couple of caveats to that I would like to express. I think for DFS purposes, like we saw it with Oberg the last 2 years. I understand he did not win, but he nearly won both times. He competed in each one of those tournaments. DFS-wise, a lot of these players become a little bit more playable in my mind because of this narrative that starts spewing throughout the space. I think from an upside perspective, I eliminate all these guys that have these 0-1 performance things. I typically think that third showing is when you start actually cementing yourself. You could argue somebody like Oberg, even last year when you already have a top 10 finish, can maybe, like, you've been there, you've done it, and maybe you can do something if you are a supreme talent. But for the most part, you usually do not get eliminated by those names. It doesn't mean, like, I like Chris Gotterup, I like Maverick McNeely, I like Jacob Bridgman. Those are all names I'm playing this week for DFS. I have bets with Bridgman to make the cut. I have bets with McNeely to make the cut. I have matchup plays with all 3 of those names included in there. And I think that's where you can get the value. I just think winning this golf tournament is a little bit different. So that category alone eliminates 33 people. So that it puts you down to 48 from that list. Sin number 3, sloth. And so sloth for me it's players that rank outside of the top 50 compared to the field in driving distance, plus outside of the top 50 for weighted driving. So it's 2 different weighted categories that I looked at there. And a lot of the names that get eliminated there are your shorter hitters. It's the Danny Willets, which I understand he won, but Danny Willett, this was 10 years ago when he won this. Yeah. Henley is the interesting one who gets eliminated because I like Henley for this tournament. I think Henley's a really good DFS play, and I understand he got eliminated from this trend, but I actually think there is a real likelihood that Henley could surprise people. I kind of go on shows all the time and talk about this upside that I believe he has. I always call him a legitimate top 10 player that people don't realize. And if you look at firm and fast conditions, the number 1 riser in that is Henley. And I think some of that comes down to his ability to find fairways. And if he's finding a lot of fairways and you're getting this firm and fast condition, he's going to get extra rollout to the field. And so you get a little bit of extra distance that comes into play. So if there was one name on that list, I know a lot of people would say Patrick Reed would be the one that they would probably pick as the outlier that has the best chance. I think for me, it's Russell Henley. If Russell Henley wins this tournament, I'm not going to be shocked. So
he's a top 20 machine.
He's a really good player.
He either misses the cut or he's a top. Like, I'm looking at his standings right now, or his current. Like, he hasn't finished outside the top 20 every cut he's made. He's a machine. He's only missed like 3 or 4 cuts. Like, he's a machine.
He's a really good golfer. I think he's a legitimate top 10 player in the world, and he doesn't get viewed as that. And for that reason, his number gets boosted and his price for DraftKings gets lowered below what it should be. And there's a lot of playability that comes into that. And if we want to take, I've kind of said this already on some shows. I know that these are wide open fairways at the end of the day where they're 20 yards wide in width. But I don't think that this is just some pure bomber's paradise. If that were the case to it, it wouldn't have taken Bryson DeChambeau 7 opportunities to get himself to actually find success at this tournament. And there is a certain skill set that comes into play. And Henley checks the boxes. You can look at how he's played at Augusta. I know that there's been some booms or busts in there more recently, but like he was a top 20, 25, 30 machine there for a really long time. So that would be the one I'm most fearful of if somebody does miss or does end up finding success. 4 for me is Wrath. So that's like a vengeful anger. This course can just piss you off, man. Like, I mean, this is a venue where we've talked about you got to know where you can miss. If you're outside of the top 50 compared to the field and around the green, and you're missing a lot of greens in regulation, it comes down to, do you have this temperament to solve this facility? Are you going to be able to know how do you get up and down? And it's an interesting job to try to traverse through this place, because a lot of places that you think about that are tough, you have thick rough and all this stuff. This is a venue where they're all mowed off areas, as you talked about. You can putt from off the surface.
Yep.
If you miss to a certain angle, you very well might have a better opportunity in than where you're on the other side, even if you're closer to the hole, because you're going to have to go over a ridge and then down a ridge, and you're going to end up like off the green on the other end. So around the green is very impactful. It's one of the biggest upticks that I have in my model. Like from a expected dispersion rate, over 20% of the strokes come around the green. You're going to see a bunch of names get eliminated there. Yeah. Some that find success, like Corey Connors, like he has a lot of top 10s here, but the short game to actually win this thing worries me. Nikolai Højgaard is a birdie making machine. That's another name that I really like this week, that I could see a top 10 from him. And you're asking a lot for him to win his first event on the PGA Tour and to make it a major, but I think he is a name to keep in mind. The rest of these names for me, for the most part, like I would say Dustin is a little bit over the hill at this point. Like he went to live, he took the money, and we have not seen the same Dustin over the last couple of years. I mean, do you have thoughts on Koepka? I mean, Koepka's a very polarizing figure.
He is, but I just don't think he hasn't competitively, he hasn't rounded back into form, in my opinion. I watch him play. He's not putting well enough, I don't think, to do anything. He goes on these stretches where he'll just blow up. Like he'll make, it was the last time I was watching him play, I think he made like 3 double bogeys in a row or something. Like he'll just lose it. And if you do that here, you're going to wind up with a triple or quadruple bogey. So
I think that's what. Yeah, I agree with you. I like what made him so great when he was winning majors, because he's never been a model darling for me. My models always wanted to fade him in these spots, but what he had going for him was this mental fortitude, this ability to make putts when they mattered. And the putter right now is horrifically bad. Like he's going to have to find something that we really have not seen from him through durations of time for a while now. And that you can even date this back to when he was on the Live Golf Tour and was coming over to these majors. Like the putter has been very inconsistent for some time now. So I also agree with you. I think that will be his undoing. Max Homa probably gets played a little bit too much just because of the course history. I don't think he's going to win this thing.
Gary Woodland. I love Gary Woodland, and I that's just my heart. That has I've loved it for a long time. I think I don't know, when he won the US Open, I was like, this is the next guy. And now he's back, and I'm like, I want him to win everything. I want him to win it all. I hope he wins everything. Willie, I don't know, but I root for him pretty hard because it's awesome. So the other one I want to go through, Brian Harman up here at the what was the Sloth?
Yeah.
Brian Harman's numbers, dude. That guy, for whatever, he stinks at the Masters. He's just not long enough to play the Masters. It sucks.
Sloth is a really good way to describe him, with how slow that he is to act between shots too. Like some jokes just write themselves, and like that's not done on purpose in that article. It just so happens to be where he landed. But like length matters, and there's a lefty bias that comes into play, ironically. And you would think it could help him, but I just think he is too short off the tee.
No, driver wise, ladies.
Yes,
driver.
Yeah,
wise. Okay. But I love Brian Harman. I think he's a cool dude. And also, Sung J M's on this list. This is exactly where Sung J M will go out there and fire the 10 under on the first day. It's exactly what he will do. You watch. Sung J M he's going to go out there and go like 9 under day one. That's just what he does. Just when you think you can count him out, here he comes, Sung J M. Quote
Yes.
that. Our software is going to pick that up for clips later, and you and I are going to put this out when Sung Jam's 11 under and shot a 65 or whatever it is.
The upside numbers in my model like him. It's definitely possible that he does, and like he barely got himself eliminated. Like it's top 50 of that category. I want to say he would have survived every other category, other than that 57th that he put for that one. So. Look, I mean, also like firm, fast conditions can help him a little bit. It's definitely possible that he goes low on day one.
He's that. Yes, this is the first round leader of Sung Jam.
I like the call. I think it's an interesting one there.
I'm telling you, dude, it's right when you're like, I don't know how many times in my life I've gone down DFS. I'm like, how many times is Sung Jam going to hurt me? And then I pass his name and he goes out there and fires off a 63. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Yeah. Okay, number 5. I think you were sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's fine. Number 5 is gluttony. That's an overindulgence or habitual greed. So the way I ended up categorizing that would be outside of the top 50 compared to the field in 3-putt avoidance. It's kind of a very similar category to what we just talked about with around the green. I ran this 3 different ways for the 3-putt avoidance because I noted in the article, this is where Rory got himself removed last year. And I noticed that there were a couple of names and where Rory would have saved himself is when I ran it 3 different ways, there were a couple areas on specific green complexes that are similar to these where Rory saw an uptick that would have removed him from the bottom tier of this. And learn from your mistakes, maybe is what I'll call it here, or just try to figure out where things went wrong. I ended up running it for all the players. So Fitzpatrick, Hideki, Bryson, and Cameron Smith all legitimately got themselves eliminated from this category because they didn't check the box for any of the 3 categories that I ran. Fitzpatrick is a darling this week. And look, it's kind of like I've talked about of, like, even if you want to just say with like Scott and Rose, they don't turn 45 and all of a sudden can't play. Like Matthew Fitzpatrick can't be 51 on my model when we take the top 50 and say, okay, well, he's 1 spot out of there. Now he has no chance. And if he was 1 spot better, he would have a chance. So it's kind of like the finicky way of running numbers and making things stick or not stick. But like Fitzpatrick is good. The current form is great on him.
Yes.
You could argue he's bringing, I don't know, man, like one of the 2-3 best forms into this tournament of anybody on tour right now. And there's something to be said about that. So that's another fearful one that like a 1 spot difference shouldn't necessarily eliminate him if you are considering betting him. I think that's like the same thing with Russell Henley. Those are 2 names that make a lot of sense, but still got to eliminate somewhere. Those 4 get themselves eliminated. Sin number 6 for me is pride. That's kind of like a consciousness of your own dignity. Where that sin affects for me is players outside of the top 50 compared to the field in par 5 birdie or better percentage or aggression. So if you have too much pride, it's not going to allow you to take the risks that you need for potential failure. And it's what I talked about at the beginning. Like I talked about the par 5s that I loved on the back 9.
Par 5s matter here.
Par 5s matter here, and you need to score, and you need to find yourself with an ability to give yourself real eagle looks. You're gonna have to go over water in spots where you don't want to. You're gonna have to play things in an aggressive manner if you want to win this golf tournament. Like I understand Rory was all over the map last year, but what did Rory do? He was aggressive in every spot that he needed to be aggressive, and sometimes it paid off, and sometimes it did not. But he was aggressive enough that he was playing really good golf, and it ended up working for him. And
do you remember when he wasn't aggressive and he tried to lay up and then he chunked it into the river or the creek?
That's the exact problem that you cannot do here. Yeah, and I mean he almost lost the golf tournament because of that. And he ended up then playing the next couple holes there on the final few where he took the aggressive route again. And then he
shot on 15, or was it 15, the par 5 or whatever it was, for the big sweeping.
Yep. Yeah, he chunked it at 13, and then he did the big sweeping shot there at 15, and then aggressive down the stretch on pretty much every single hole and every single shot, and he won himself the golf tournament. And it's a weird thing that maybe that's what he needed to actually get across the finish line. But you have to be aggressive. You have to score on the par 5s, and Keegan Bradley, Michael Kim, JJ Spawn, Patrick Cantlay. Spieth usually survives for me, and I think there's a reason why he finds success. Spieth is aggressive. The par 5 scoring isn't exactly where you want it to be right now, but Spieth at any given time can be in a water off the Augusta course on the green. He can be anywhere at any given time.
I love the shots. Like you'll be scrolling on Twitter during a golf tournament. It's like, here's a picture of Spieth, and it's just bushes on the side of the fairway. Like you're just like, where's he at? He's somewhere in the trees about to hit some ridiculous shot, and he usually does it. But I just don't know when he turned into that. Just I don't know. But this other one up here, I was looking at 5, sitting number 5, the gluttony about the putting. It's amazing to me that Cameron Smith is this bad at putting. He is completely just fallen off a cliff from what he used to be. I remember he used to be a dagger in your heart putter.
Think of the major, like think of his up and down to win a major championship. It's one of the craziest up and downs. I don't know. It's him, Dustin. All these guys took the live money, and I don't know. We just haven't seen whatever that is from them in a really long time. And maybe Cameron Smith is able to find it here, but I mean, you're asking for a lot. You're asking for somebody to really turn back the clocks from what we haven't seen from them recently. And I understand with Cameron Smith, he's not playing enough golf in the public eye for people to really see it one way or another. But I'm kind of just under the belief until you show me, I'm probably going to just let you beat me.
Yep, I agree.
And then the last sin for me is greed. I categorize it as an intense or selfish desire for something. Wealth or power would be one of the things. But what is wealth or power when it comes to golf? Wealth or power would be high-end finishes. It would be golfers that have the ability to post high-end results, whether it's here or it's leading into the tournament. And so I looked at it 2 ways. If you don't have a top 30 at the Masters over the last 3 trips here, you get disqualified. Batia loses it for that. Clark ends up losing it for both. Thomas loses it for the Masters. And then the second one would be, do you have a top 30 anywhere on the PGA Tour coming into this event? And Clark would not qualify for that one, while Batia and Thomas would. But, I mean, at the end of the day, we can talk about this, and you'll hear it a million times. Players that are playing the best that come into Augusta win the Masters. Yes. And if you're not posting top 30 finishes, I just think you're really, like we just talked about it with Cameron Smith, you are looking to strike lightning in the bottle and do something on a really difficult golf course. So it eliminated those 3. That put me down to 12, which is very, very standard to what you would normally get. Yep. From a yearly perspective. It's kind of right smack dab in the middle. And some of these names are your favorites. Some of these names are a little further down the board. Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, John Rahm, Ludwig Oberg, Xander Schauffele, Cameron Young, Tommy Fleetwood, Robert McIntyre, Minwoo Lee. Those are all your names that are going to be like 40-1 or less. I think all those guys make sense. And then a little bit deeper than that, Siwoo Kim. Sam Burns is kind of this hit and miss. I don't really trust him. He's all over the place. And then Harris English would be the
He's just fun, dude. He's just a fun guy to be like. He's just like when he's on, he's on, and the putter's hot, and he is just everything is going. But when he sucks, he sucks.
U.S. Open last year would be a prime example of that. Yeah. He should have won that golf tournament and collapsed on himself down the stretch. And I mean, JJ Spawn earned it, but like, I don't think Burns was beating anybody. Like Burns, I don't even know where he finished at the end, but I don't think he came second or third. Like it got bad at the stretch there.
Yeah. But Harry English made the list here. I love that.
I took him at 145-1. That was the one big long shot that I took this year. A lot of the metrics are trending for him in a really nice way. And if you look at what he has done at this course over the last handful of years, he's trending in the right direction. It's the 20, like even just the last 3 years, top 45 in 2023, 22nd in 2024, and then the 12th place last year. You circled this back to last season, 2 second-place finishes in major championships. Sometimes you win one of these if you keep putting yourself in a position, and English is consistent right now, if nothing else.
Yes, he is. People, he had a hip surgery, right? And then people don't understand that he had the hip surgery like halfway through the year and then came back to finish out, I think, or start the year the next year. And I think last year was his full year being healthy, or maybe a year before, the first year, full year being healthy. And I know it because that's what I do for a living. Like I do physical therapy, right? I'm a physical therapist. And so whenever somebody gets hurt like that, I know that the first, even in football, I'm like, okay, unless you're Adrian Peterson, that's 1 out of 1,000. You're going to take probably at least 2 years to get back to form. So I'm not shocked that Harry English, because before he got hurt, he was really good. before his hip got hurt. And now his hip got hurt, and he's been taking about 2 years to get back to what he was. And he is playing really good golf, and he has been. I'm not surprised, though,
Yeah,
But,
it makes logical sense.
So he's an SEC guy, and I hate the SEC. So it's just my opinion on it. But, okay, so that's the 12 that you've kind of – I mean, what do you do with Scotty? Like, his ball striking and his iron play have been pretty much terrible by his standards, and pretty much in general, but is he – one of our other guys, J-Bot, said, is Scotty going to get arrested for this tournament? Because the last time he had his son or a kid before a major, he got arrested and then went out there and shot a 65. So is Scotty Scheffler going to get arrested?
I'll go with no. That was one of the more surprising things. I remember I woke up and my girlfriend turns over to me and she's like, Scotty Scheffler just got arrested. And what? I turned to her and I was like, that is obviously not true. You got fooled by some sort of a clickbait thing. Yes. And I went on my phone and I started looking it up and I'm like, he did get arrested. And I didn't know at the time what it was for. And as you hear the story, it makes a lot more sense that it was nothing serious with it. But that is one of the most shocking things I have ever heard in any sport, that him specifically would be arrested the week of a major championship.
And then we had to watch Marty Smith for 3 hours do the same thing over and over and over again. It was absolute. We were at the beach on vacation. I'm like, what is going on here? But you still, you've got to, again, these are the 12 that you had right there. So you still have, Scotty, you cannot count Scotty out. That's just the way it is. And Xander's been, I think this is his ninth time playing the Masters. I think
he's been good.
Yeah, he has been very good at the Masters. So it'd be fun to watch Tommy Fleetwood win it too. Okay. Anything else on this? That was God, I love that. That was incredible about, how you kind of funnel your way down to like, okay, if you're placing bets or if you're watching, like, who are you going to put money on, or who are you going to root for, whatever you want to do. And this is just a very nice way that people can listen to or read and listen to and see what matters when you're looking for people to root for. So, but
you probably get a sweat out of a handful of names there. And if you can get a sweat on Sunday at the Masters, that's what you're hoping for. And about what you talked about with Scotty, like, I don't think you can discredit him. I understand he has no form coming into this tournament, but it's still Scotty Scheffler at the end of the day. And you can see all the sports books of what they're tweeting out. Like, I think Rory and Scotty, almost consensus across the board, are the two best outcomes for sports books if they win. And that's usually not the case. Usually the favorites are a liability in a lot of spots, not always, but in liability for the sports book. So when you see both of those being like two of the bigger wins that a sports book can have, you actually have to look into it and just say like, okay, well, do I believe it's going to happen? No, then I will go in a different direction, but they're names you have to consider.
Yes, 100%. And I love watching Scotty play golf. It's just fun to watch him. Okay. Let's do a little, before we move on, or actually we are going to move on. Let's do a little game called the Masters Superlatives, right? And this is basically, everybody remembers the superlative, and then I'm going to show you some of the DFS picks that I have placed from I built about half my lineup. So I love doing a 20 max contest because it's not overwhelming for me, because I love to hand build my lineups. Yeah. And I love to like go through and build it the way I love to build it, which is I pick like 5 to 7 golfers who I think can win the tournament. And then I build from there, like 2 or 3 different lineups, with different combinations and that sort of thing. And so I love doing that. So I'm going to show you some of the guys that I'm like, from my perspective, that I like in certain ones that I don't like. And then, what that'll create, I would be open to, contribution or constructive criticism or agreement. Okay. The Masters Superlatives. Here we go. Let's share this right here. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to go through just like your senior yearbook. Who would be the class clown at the Masters if you had to pick somebody? And I've got mine pulled up over here. I made a list. Who would you go with?
This is a tough one. I've narrowed it down to 2. I think Haotong Li, like we already saw a little bit of the Haotong Li class clownish Like, he's already gone viral before the tournament of talking to Kevin Hart and cussing on ESPN and doing that. I think the other name that you actually have to consider for this too would be Siwoo Kim. Siwoo Kim broke his putter here. He's liable to go into the pine needles behind the trees at any point and start smoking. Like, that's been something that I've been seeing pictures of him a lot. And I know players on tour talk about how fun he is. It's a name that I don't think people necessarily realize, but I will go with Hal Tong for this pick here.
I love that. I had both of those, but I think I put Spieth on there just because he cracks me. That's just my personal one. It's like, I'm not saying he's funny. I'm just saying you'll turn on the TV and you'll be like, how did Spieth get over there? And what is he about to do? So that just makes me laugh. But I think Max Homa, back in his heyday, he still has got some left in the chamber when he wants it. So I'm going to put Max Homa on there.
You know what's funny about Spieth as we move across this is I think Spieth could land on a lot of these categories. Yes. I found him on the short list. Like, I also considered him for class clown. I consider Justin Thomas for class clown. But I think Spieth is, I do have Spieth for one of these, but I think you could consider him for a handful.
Okay. Yes. He's a best dressed is next. Who do you have for best dressed?
I mean, look, you're going to love it or you're going to hate it with Jason Day, but he is flashy compared to everybody else, and he's going to make statements. So I'm going to go with Jason Day. I think the honorable mentions, if you just want classic and vintage look and somebody that's not going to be over the top, Adam Scott is always very professional with the way he dresses. Cashmere Keith Mitchell, like, he's going to look very nice. Yeah. I used to like Justin Thomas when he was with Ralph Lauren. They always put him in some really nice kits throughout the week, but Jason Day is my boy. I haven't talked about him a lot this week, so I'll find a way to fit him here for best dressed.
Yes. Love it. That bird shirt he wore the other day was, and then somebody figured out what kind of birds they were. My older brother, he's usually on the show. He's an ornithological mastermind, and so I sent him that. I was like, "Can you confirm that all these birds are right?" And he had one little critique of the PGA, but he said for the most part they were spot on. I'm going. I had Jason Day on there, but for best dressed, I'm going Victor Hovland.
That's a good one too.
That guy, he's gotten a little too classy for me, but he used to wear some outrageous stuff. And I also had on there Sergio. If he wears that yellow and red stuff on there again, I was cracking up. It was like, oh, there goes Sergio. And I had Bernard Langer on there. I like little Bernard Langer with the visor. Okay, most talkative.
So this is where I put in Jordan Spieth. And I'm going to say, it's definitely not Rory. Like, according to Bryson, Rory doesn't talk, so it's not going to be Rory for this. But the two that I narrowed it down to were Shane Lowry and Jordan Spieth. Lowry's going to be essentially cussing out the course, and Spieth is going to be cussing out Greller, I guess. Like, he's going to fight. Like, you've named it and narrowed it down best. Spieth is going to be flinging balls and flailing them all over the place. And you are going to get insight into what has happened, where he is, why it's the worst thing ever or the best thing ever for an entire round. So I think the on-course stuff that you get from Spieth, I'm going to say Jordan Spieth is the most talkative.
Love it. I think I had him on my list too. I also had Spieth, yes. I had DeChambeau just because of his. I have Tyrrell Hatton. Tyrrell Hatton cracks me up.
Yeah,
that guy, hilarious. And I had Freddie Couples. I know Freddie Couples is Bobby Mack can get to talking too, but I had Freddie Couples on there, so I think I'm going to go with Tyrrell Hatton, just because that guy cracks me up. He just the way he talks. Most likely to succeed. Who did you have?
This is going to be contrarian for everything that I've said this week, because like my outright card is Rahm, Xander, and English, like I talked about, but I'm not going to say that they're the most likely to succeed. I still think at the end of the day, even though it's very close and my model likes Rahm and he's nearly a co-favorite with Scotty, I understand Scotty looks bad and like we can get about all the reasons for that, but you just have to look at the market. He's still minus 170 against John Rahm in a matchup. I think Scotty's the most likely to succeed. At the end of the day, though, is he going to? No, he's probably less than. I mean, what? I mean, his true win equity is probably. I have it at 7.5 to 1. But I mean, even if you got more aggressive with that, like at the end of the day, like he's not winning this more than 1 out of every 10 times, give or take. So like he can be the most likely to succeed, but also the field is more likely to succeed than him would be the way I would explain that. But I will go with Scotty.
You know what's hilarious is I put on there Scotty Scheffler's caddy. That was on my list.
Yeah.
that was one of them. But I also had on all the guys that I'm rooting for, which is basically Gary Woodland, Jake Knapp, and Bridgman. I'm going to go with Gary Woodland. You know why? Because I'm a big Gary Woodland fan.
He is succeeding in life right now with everything that he's gone through. So he's winning.
He's succeeding right now, like you just said. The dude is. I love the fact that he's in the public eye, and he is his quote that he had this week about how 2019 changed my life. I hope what I did last week can change somebody else's for the better. I was like, that guy. I hope he gets everything he wants.
Yeah.
Life of the party.
This is a tough one. I'm going to take Minwoo Lee here just because I think he's eccentric and he's young and he can get the crowd going. I considered, even though I don't think people would view Bryson DeChambeau as the life of the party, but Bryson gets people going. At the end of the day, though, like, I don't know if people are going to view Bryson DeChambeau being the life of the party, going down 18, taking shots of creatine. Like, that doesn't feel life of the party to me. Like, Minwoo feels like he's going to be more fun. And if he can put the pieces together and he's actually there on Sunday, I could see him being flashy. So I went with Minwoo.
He's fun to watch. I like watching him. I have a couple. I had Andrew Novak. We interviewed him. The dude is freaking hilarious. He's a one-liner, just walking one-liner. Fred Couples. I had Shane Lowry on here. I had Hao Tong Lee for this one. I had him in 2 categories. But I think Dustin Johnson. That was my first one that I put on the list was Dustin Johnson. But I think I'm going to go with Novak.
You know what's funny is Lowry was my 1B that I was going to take. The reason why I did not take him at the end of the day, because I highly considered, I had him originally and I removed him. He goes to all these courses. It's like this running, I mean, you want to talk about memes and stuff now for the next one, which I don't even have Lowry for that, but it's this running meme now that every single time Shane Lowry goes to one of these major championship venues, you hear him say, F this place, F that place. And he hasn't done that here yet, but I don't know if you can be life of the party if you start. Yeah, I don't know if you can be life of the party if you start saying F Augusta. Yeah,
he is a carry. He's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Who do you have most likely to become a meme or a trend, like a viral GIF or photograph or something? Who'd you have for that one?
I went with Bryson DeChambeau. We saw him take the sign at Augusta and walk with it a couple years ago. Ran into a rope and nearly knocked his eye out a year ago or two. And then he's very memeable when it just comes to his reactions. He's over the top. He's going to give you the fist pump. If he is in this tournament on Sunday, it's going to be must-watch television for the pure theatrics of what he's going to put into play. So I went with Bryson.
Yes, I had a few here. I had Bobby McIntyre. I put Patrick Cantlay because at some form or another, they're going to do some sort of watch meme or something. I put Jason Day for the outfits. I put Zach Johnson because he likes to yell at the crowd. And then I just put the 18th green because that's where all the memes happen.
For sure.
Put the 18th green. But I think I'm going to go with Patrick Cantlay. I think that some form or fashion we're going to get something's going to happen with him. With the walk, the taking of the time and all that stuff. So that's a great I'm going to screenshot this and we're going to put it out there and we're going to see if this comes into fruition over the weekend. And it's going to be great.
I think it's a good list we came up with.
This is great. I think we had a lot kind of similar, but we had enough that were different. I mean, I was sitting there making this list tonight and I'm like, this is great. Like, it really makes you think about, if you watch a lot of golf, the personalities of the golfers.
For sure.
Okay. Here's my list of DFS Masters maxing or mogging. And what I've learned about maxing is you're trying to become better or something that looks good. And mogging means that it doesn't look good from my research on the internet. So we're going to Masters maxing the 9th, and we're going to separate this into DFS, DraftKings. This is where I got the prices. From 9,000 and above, there were 11 golfers, and we're going to go. My maxing, the golfers I like were Cam Young, Xander Schauffele. In mogging, the golfers I didn't like were McIlroy and Morikawa. I'm out on Morikawa. He hasn't hit a ball past 284 yards yet. And being what I do for a living, it's going to be very difficult for him to make it through 4 days if he can't hit the ball more than 280 yards right now. So thoughts on my maxing and mogging of the Masters?
Yeah, I mean, I bet Xander outright. I'm going to be playing a lot of him in DFS. I think that there's a lot of names above $9,000 that I view to be playable. Like, I like Cameron Young. I like Xander. I like Fleetwood a lot. I like Rahm that I've talked about. The only one that I would disagree with on that list, and I don't even necessarily disagree at its core, would be Rory.
Yep.
Just because I think Rory is an interesting leverage play. Everybody wants to talk about how hard it is to go back to back here, but you're seeing it with the ownership, and there's injury concerns with him a little bit from what we've gotten, and just with everything that's come into play. So I don't know. I'm not playing Colin for all the reasons that you talked about. Rory, I could see that he's gotten the monkey off his back at this point, and he comes into this tournament with a refreshed outlook of what Augusta is for him. And if that's the case, he's going to be very underowned compared to everybody else. Got to know what you're signing up for. There's volatility there. I'm just less inclined to rule him out completely.
I love that. That's a great angle, because that's listening to that. I'm like, everybody's saying the same thing right now that I just said, right? Like, oh, there's no way he can, I'm out. And it's like, well, you're talking about the number 2 golfer in the world who is a Grand Slam winner. He's still playing pretty good golf. So my next one is 8,000 to 8,900. I'm maxing Fitzpatrick and McIntyre. I'm mogging Spieth and Thomas. Is that fair? Is that
the 4 players that I really like in this section for DFS would be Hideki, Fitzpatrick, McIntyre. Gotterup's getting a little square, but I like Gotterup. I'm going to probably play him. I'm a little bit higher than you are probably as a whole on Spieth and Thomas. I don't have them in the player pool right now. Like, Spieth is I guess I have him technically, but I don't have massive takes. Like, I'm more out on Koepka. I'm going to be out on Hatton. And then for just to give a 9,000 up, I'm out on Rose. I just think that the Rose thing has gotten a little overblown at this point. I understand that he is always really good here, but he's too boom or bust for me when the ownership starts getting high.
Yeah. Look, if Rose does what he did last year again, good. Egg on my face, man. Good for you, dude.
That's how I feel.
You're a machine. This is your course, and I hope you win it someday. The 74 to 7,900, I think there was 14 or 15 golfers in this category when I sectioned everything off. I'm maxing Bridgman and Knapp. I think Knapp is like Freddie Couples. That dude's golf swing is unbelievable. And I'm mogging, which means I don't like Cantlay or Griffin. These are the ones I'm out on for that one. So,
before I answer that, do you have thoughts on Minwoo Lee? One way or the other?
I love Minwoo Lee. I really do. I think I don't know if he's going to be too overly owned just by when you're building your lineups, the way it falls. He tends to be at the top whenever you're building the 9,000 and above. If you try to jam a few of them in there, you go back and you got 7,700 or whatever he's at. It's like, there's Minwoo Lee. He's great.
Correct.
But I think the way that he plays the game fits this pretty well. I think he can be very streaky, but he could also be terrible. So I think he's the ultimate upside, like boom or bust, as far as I'm concerned. But I think he's just going to be very popular just by the way the lineups get built. If that's,
I think he's going to be one of the most popular pieces into builds for that reason. Look, he's underpriced and he's mispriced. I'm conflicted on him right now. I'm still making final cuts. He's one of those names where my model likes him, but I'm trying to figure out how much in comparison to some other ones. Like, I talked about liking Henley this week. I think Henley looks good. I like Siwoo. I like Bridgman. I like Knapp. I think you're on the right path with all of those. I get burnt by this guy all the time, and I should probably be not allowed to come on a show and talk about him anymore, but I kind of like Patrick Cantlay just because everybody's always getting burnt by him and they don't want to play him. And some of the upside numbers for what you get from him kind of liked him for me. So he's in my player pool right now. Whether that ends up burning me, we'll see.
That's fair. He's skilled. I'm not going to, but yeah, you get down, it's like Minwoo Lee, Corey Connors, Jason Day, and you're like, Minwoo Lee is the guy that everybody's going to be. He's pretty good at this course. His course history is not bad here.
I like him here. Yeah, the model likes him a lot. That's the tricky part about it.
7,000 to 7,300. Harry English, Gary Woodland. Hey, I'm maxing those guys. Wyndham Clark, Dustin Johnson, I think, was the other one in this little group that I put together. I'm out on both of those guys.
Yeah, the one name that I would throw into your section that I really like is Maverick McNeely. McNeely and Harris English are two of my favorite plays on the board this week at any price range. Those are two guys I'm going to be massively overweight on. For players that I'm out on, I completely agree. It's like the worst values in my model from top to bottom would be Dustin, Wyndham, Max Homa, Marco Penge, Sergio. That's the five worst.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's yeah. I love Maverick. He's playing really well leading into this, by the way. I mean, you know that, but for those who don't know, Maverick McNeely's playing some good golf. 65 to 69. This is where you get into like Scotty territory. Guys, I'm maxing Michael Kim and Kurt Kitayama. Mogging Harmon, we talked about that earlier, and Valimaki is playing awful golf. Don't play that guy.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you on everything. I also like Harry Hall. That's a name that I'm going to play this week. My model liked Matthew McCarty. Ryan Gerard was a name that popped, but yeah, I mean Kitayama is in one of the more optimal routes. Michael Kim was a value for me. Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement with you on all of that.
He's a fun interview too. Michael Kim was good when we had him on.
He's a fun guy on Twitter also.
Yes, great follow. He does the Masters Chronicles or whatever. And then the 64 and below. This is where it kind of gets really into the weeds. You talk about past champions and that sort of thing. Maxing Riley and Novak for obvious reasons. Novak's our guy. And Mogging, I just put too many. There's way too many. There's like 23 people in this segment. I'm like, I'm not. That's for obvious reasons. So the guys that I would play in the 64 and below would be Riley and Novak.
I'm not a Riley guy at the end. I was telling Byron that when we did our show together. Byron is much more of a Riley dude than I am. I never really find myself off on him. I mean, you are correct at the end of the day. Like, if you look at my model, like from 6,400 and less, I'm gonna tell you where I am at with the best names because like it gets brutal very quickly. So Sam Stevens, my model likes, which the market seems to like him also. He's very popular for cheap $6,000 option. He is inside the top 40 for me. There is no other player from 6,400 and less that would be inside of the top 55 of my model in pretty much any iteration of how I ran it. So you're going to get a lot of bad, and you're going to have to potentially pick and choose a couple spots. Like Haotong has been horrible recently, but I may take a swing on Haotong. Like I think Novak, he's a name that you can take a swing on. But a lot of these names are just 0% across the board.
Hot Gator is the other one that can hit it a mile. Like he can be hot. He can, overpower the course, so to speak. He's hit like 700 balls on the range though. So who knows how many he has left in the tank.
Yeah, Goddard up hit too many also. I don't know if he's looking for something. That's kind of one of the reasons what worries me about him.
Yeah, I love watching the range and that sort of thing. And then I've got one more graphic here. It's just a 6-tier potential winners from each tier. I took each tier and broke it down from the ones above, where it was 11 golfers, 11, and then like 14, and then 13, and then so I sectioned it off into like odds, and I came up with from tier 1 it was Fitzpatrick, tier 2 was McIntyre, tier 3 it was Jake Knapp, tier 4 was Woodland, tier 5 it was Michael Kim, and then it was Echeverria in tier 6. Which when you get down to tier 6, man, there's not a lot down there.
Yeah, I mean, it gets brutal fast. It's even like we're talking about it with DraftKings. It's just it gets ugly very, very quickly when you start trying to pick names.
Yeah. So that's where I landed on some of my winners. Like if I had to pick a tier and pick a winner from each one of those, these are where I would go if you're going down the board, like from longest odds.
McIntyre is catching a lot of sharp action. I saw over the last, I don't know if it's you, man. It might be you unloading on it, but I saw like $15,000 just dropped on McIntyre somewhere at 35 to 1. So, I mean, he's definitely getting respected money.
Okay. Man, I know you gotta hop off of here, and I thank you for going a little, going the distance with us, man. Talking Masters, I love going over the article. I love all the insight. And, you know, you got to tell people where they can find. I've got the link to your Patreon in our show comments.
Thank you.
For anybody that's looking or in the podcast, you can go there and click and sign up for the Patreon and sign up for the Discord, all that stuff. Tell people where to find you. You know, and where they're going to be getting. I mean, you obviously follow you on Twitter because you put out stuff all the time, and that's where we kind of crossed our paths.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at TeeOffSports. As you just said, I'm putting out a lot of content on there, and there's a lot of free stuff. Like I write for Action Network. I do a free article for them every single week, and then I opened up a Patreon 2 weeks ago, and I started a Discord channel, and his name is Easy McDeasy. He helped me build the Discord channel. He helped build Byron's also. If you've checked out Byron's, like, you know, the kind of work that he can do, and mine's completely free right now, and it's a casino themed atmosphere. We are having a lot of fun in there. As I said, we opened it up a couple weeks ago, and we already have almost 500 people in there, and they're high quality, high level conversations that are happening. And, you know, I think, you know, if you want to come to get some of my picks and my bets, like I'd love to have you there. But even if you just want to come and interact and have some fun and talk golf with like-minded individuals, please check it out. I couldn't, like, it's going to be running for free for at least this week, and potentially maybe for a week or two more. But like at the end of the day, that free chat is always going to stay in there. This is a community to me. This is something that I am trying to build. I am trying to build a brand, and I am trying to build a following in a community. And everybody who's in there, everybody's my guys in there. And I don't want to just eliminate people from there. So like, you will never get kicked out of the channel. If you want to support me when I end up going to the next venture, and I do sell on Patreon, if that's the next step, like, it's greatly appreciative, but you don't have to. You can just come in and have fun, and you'll realize like there's a lot of good going on in there, and it's a good environment and a good atmosphere.
I love it, man. It's the articles are great. So I need to join the Discord. That's what I need to do. I haven't done that yet.
I'd love to have you in there, man. Like
I need to do that.
It's a lot of fun.
All the links and everything, they're in the show description. I'm going to run through. I got a couple more notes that I was going to hit outside of the Masters, but I mean, man, I really appreciate you jumping on. You're more than welcome to stay and go through those little sports topics, or I know you got to kind of run and get out of here, and we're all going to be watching the Masters together, man. It's going to be, I can't wait to see and use this data that you've given us, and then see how the lineups fall, see how the bets fall. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's a big week for everybody. It's a big week in the golf world. I do have to get out of here, but let's do this again soon. I told you when we were off air, some of my podcasts are in limbo right now, but I'm going to have you on to my shows. We have a fun show that we do where we draft lineups for DraftKings, and yes. We will have you on that whenever that thing comes back into fruition. But I really appreciate the opportunity to do this, man. I've told everybody I've done a show with this week, like it's shows like this, and it's people like you in the space, and it's everybody who's listening that gives us the opportunity to do what we love, talk about sports, talk about golf, and just want to thank everybody who's tuned into the show, and I want to thank you for having me on.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I really appreciate it, taking the time. I know you've been all over it this week, so the time and the knowledge that you dropped for us, I love it, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much, man. We will be in touch.
All right, buddy.
All right, bye.
See ya. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was awesome. That guy's he's an absolute wagon of information. It's unbelievable to read the way he writes, the way he does everything. Like it's incredible. Spencer is really, really talented. I mean, 3-time writer of the year, and he's still counting. So we're going to go through, we've got some, I know just me tonight, we got about 10 or 15 more minutes of, look, we got the national championship was on Monday. I cannot wait to watch the Masters. I love the Masters. The national championship was on Monday. So we are going to actually, here's I forgot to do this for people. Here's your viewing, because people are going to be waking up being like, what am I going to do about watching the Masters? Where's it going to be? Here you go. This is from CBS Sports from the Masters, the coverage. Thursday, April 9th, tomorrow morning. It's going to be on the range, 8:30 to 10:30. CBS Sports Network, Masters app, CBS Sports, Paramount Plus. Then when it kicks off, featured groups 9:15 to 7:30. You're going to be able to watch it all on Paramount Plus, CBS Sports, Masters, Amen Corner, and then the highlights, that sort of thing. And then the coverage, I think, will actually be on ESPN later. So there you go. If you're looking for all the Masters, just download the Masters app. That's what you need to do. And then you can watch them on ESPN too. So, all right. Michigan has won the national title in basketball. Dusty May. I completely forgot that the dude was the coach at FAU, and this makes a lot of sense now. Michigan, that game, Michigan wins. They beat UConn, and they basically were like 5 to 7 points ahead the entire freaking game. So people are saying it sucked. The shooting was not great. But those two dudes in the middle for Michigan, what's the big tall guy's name? Mara or whatever his name is. Michigan was just good. They were just very, very good. Like, I'm not going to pretend to be a basketball savant, but I did enjoy watching the game. But it was Mara, Ade Mara. That's who it was. He only had 8 points, but I feel like he was way bigger than that. He was just disrupting everything. Morez Johnson too. And then Cadeau was the leading scorer for Michigan, 69 to 63. So the shooting was not like, field goal percentage was 31 for UConn and 38 for Michigan. So 3-pointers were atrocious, 27% for UConn, 13 for Michigan. Like, Michigan shot 13% and still won the game. They shot like the worst game they probably shot all year and still won the game. So it was, I don't even like it, I don't know. It's just UConn couldn't do what they wanted to do. So they couldn't get inside and bully people. What's his name? The Reed, Terrace Reed, 4 for 12. So Michigan finishes their season 37-3, 39.7 on KenPom, putting them at number 2 all time. They didn't even have Yaxel Lindeborg, and they still won. They were so good. They beat the wheels off of everybody. So, in the whole Dusty May thing, said he's not going to coach. He's not going to coach for any other college team, this and that. And there's rumors swirling around that. So eventually he's probably going to go to the NBA. But the Big Ten, like, that's the story here. Dusty May did build the team on transfers and reported $10 million in the NIL budget. One of the most expensive in college basketball. It was their first title in 37 years. So, it's just, people are like, oh, they bought their championship. It's like, yeah, well, Kentucky paid a lot for their team. Kansas State paid a lot for their team, and they both sucked. So money doesn't always do it. It's getting the right collection of guys and having the right coach. So there you go. The NCAA. Did you see the Sabres Rangers score? No, I did not. So the Rangers suck, dude. Nice try. Michigan bought that championship. Every starter was a transfer. Yeah, well, so did Kentucky. They played a lot, or paid a lot of players. So nice try, J-Bye. I know what you're trying to do. I can't believe we just did a section on this show called Masters Maxing and Mocking. That was so stupid. I love it. Spencer is awesome. The NCAA tournaments are 1 in 50 all time. This is from OptaStats on Twitter. When the NCAA tournament, teams are 1 in 50 all time when scoring under 70 points, shooting under 40% from the field, shooting under 15% from 3 on 15% or 15 more attempts, and getting out rebounded. The one win was by Michigan tonight. Somehow Michigan won that game. That's what I'm like. We're looking at the stats. Michigan won the game. What did I write? I wrote down some stuff. That's what I was going to look at. I had some notes from the game. There weren't many notes because the game kind of sucked, but I had written down some notes from the championship game. And wait, where did I put them? That was not it. Where did I put did I put them on my notes app? On the computer? Maybe. Let me look there. Where did I put them? Oh, there it is. Yes, I did. I wrote them down on my notes app on the computer. At one point, they had missed. Okay, that's what it was. At one point, the teams had combined to miss 12 of 15 shots in the first half. They couldn't shoot. I mean, what in the world? Like, yes, I get the argument of the playing in the football stadiums, but the one thing you shouldn't do is, hey, we've all watched basketball for months, and we just spent 3 weeks watching a tournament, and we get to the Final Four, and the rims are tighter than they've ever been, and the balls have more air in them, and so everybody's missing shots. Nobody wants to see that. I don't care that you play in a football stadium. Everybody's going to complain about that, but who cares? It's Final Four. It's just an experience. Get over it. But don't make the balls inflated and the rims tighter. J-Vi said the Big Ten has bought every championship they have the last 3 years in football and basketball. See, J-Vi is an SEC guy. Don't let him say that. Game needs to be moved back to CBS. Yeah, everybody was mad about the TBS too. So, at the first half, at one point, the teams were 18 of 52 for shooting. Like, so bad. I just wrote down Mara as a problem. We just talked about that. And then the shot clock on the floor confuses me. Like, I'm sitting there watching Reed. He had the ball at one point, kind of at the elbow, and the shot clock came up where the free throw, just above the free throw line, inside that little arc. And Reed was looking right at him. I'm like, can he not see? Can he not see that there's only 5 seconds? He ended up getting a shot clock violation. And I'm like, he should have been able to see that shot clock. And then my dumb brain was like, wait, he can't see that because it's just like the yellow first down marker in the NFL. Like, that's what this TV productions have done to us. Like, I believe that the players can see that yellow first down line. I also believe they can see the shot clock on the floor. It doesn't make any sense. But that's all the notes I had for the national title game. But Terrace Reed played 2 years for Michigan and 2 years for UConn. The two schools won 3 championships in those 4 years, and he didn't win any of them. That has to suck. And here's J-Bi. Don't watch. Turn around, J-Bi. The Big Ten becomes the first conference in Division I history to have 3 different schools win national championships in football, basketball, men's basketball, women's basketball in the same academic year. They also won hockey, women's hockey at the Wisconsin. And I forgot the UCLA was in the Big Ten. Everybody forgets. Big Ten perennial power, UCLA. So there you go. Michigan won that game on the free throw line. They shot 10 more free throws than UConn, 10 plus more. Well, I have a UConn fan at work, and that's what he came in and saying it was the refs. I'm like, you can't complain about the refs if you're UConn when your head coach was headbutting a referee before the game was over against Duke. So the referee argument's out the window. Final tournament record by conference in the 2000 NCAA tournament. The Big Ten was 19-6. The Big East was 7-3. SEC 14-10. Big 12 11-8. A10 2-2. Everybody else pretty much 500 or worse. So the Big Ten put on a spectacle. So did the Big East, but that was a lot of UConn. SEC barely had a winning record. That's the most important note. Big news in the NCAA, exploring a significant change to its eligibility rule. The NCAA committee will discuss a new age-based standard for athlete eligibility that will grant athletes 5 full years of eligibility from the time of their 19th birthday or their high school graduation. No waiver requests, red shirts, exceptions will be permitted except for a small group of outliers on maternity leave, military service, or religious exemptions. So they're finally going to stop the COVID, the COVID 7 years, 8 year seniors, because it's getting out of control. Somebody had to step in. Recruiting's getting screwed up. High school athletics are getting screwed up. It's about time they did that. So the guys that ended up playing like the tight end for Miami that played for like 15 years, what a legend. Build him a statue outside the stadium. Off topic, rank these players going into this week. Bobby Mack, Rose, Reed, Spieth, Minwoo, Siwoo. Bobby Mack, number 1. Patrick Reed, number 2. Siwoo, number 3. Minwoo, number 4. Rose, number 5. Spieth, number 6. Boom. And Bronny, if you're just tuning in, go back and check out the first, hour or so of the show where we were deep in the weeds on some analytics about the Masters. Good stuff from a guy named Spencer Aguiar, TeeOffSports on Twitter. Carolina, UNC has hired Michael Malone to Chapel Hill. This seems like a terrible idea. I don't really know. It seems like they were waiting on another coach that said no. I think they should have hired Vince Carter. Why not? Former player. I also think they could have hired Eric Church. Used to be an App State guy. Now he's apparently a UNC guy somehow. Could have hired Chase Rice. He's a country singer. Michael Jordan could have come back. He dabbled with the Bobcats. But UNC's got this kick now where they're hiring ex-professional coaches. This guy has some college basketball experience, but it's not the same as when he was there because you've got NIL, transfer portal, and if only North Carolina had seen some other university that hired a professional head coach that didn't work out that well. If only there was somewhere to see that, they could have seen that. J-Boss said when it came across my phone, it says UNC hires Malone. He thought it was Carl Malone. Yeah, dude, Moses Malone. What kind of ring is he wearing there, too, by the way? I don't know what kind of ring he's got on there. But it just doesn't make any sense. They just did this with Belichick. 0 sense. All right, NFL news. Genius move by Sam Darnold. You know the rule on this show. If you get married, it'll be at least 4 years before you win a Super Bowl. Sam Darnold held off to after the Super Bowl to get married, and now it doesn't matter because he already won the Super Bowl. He knew. Sam Darnold must listen to the show because he knows. So, genius move by Sam Darnold. Fernando Mendoza is going to not watch the draft. He's not going to be at the draft in Pittsburgh. He's going to be at the draft with his family in Miami. I just think you should go to the draft. I get you could bring your family to the draft with you. You could probably set up a room with your family somewhere. But you have to be able to walk on the stage. Like, as a kid, and maybe he's in the era where he's not used to it being in New York every year. I don't know how, that's true. Yes. Shout out BMO, Pittsburgh Trash City. It says, looks like Bill and Jordan. B. McCormick. It is, but I don't think kids now that they're getting drafted, they don't understand what it's like to walk across the stage. They don't watch the old drafts. We used to sit around and play poker for 12 hours and drink together and watch the NFL draft. Like, the draft used to mean something. Giants, Dexter Lawrence requested a trade. He's not going to be participating in the season workout program. And they've been through 2 offseasons attempting to negotiate a contract reflecting his value over the Giants over the last 3 years. Not been any progress per sources. This is John Harbaugh's fault. Or is it Jackson Dart's fault? Or does he not want to play with Cam Scatterbo, who keeps getting himself in trouble? Culture issue already with John Harbaugh. So trade him to the 49ers. That's the right thing to do. Hockey. Utah Mammoth concessionaire started to sell Tusk mugs. $26 to drink beer out of a Tusk. Sign me up. Mammoth are absolutely crushing internet right now. That's what they're doing. They're crushing the internet. Because they also have the Zamoth, which is a Zamboni that looks like a dad blame transformer, and it's going to drive right into your living room. This thing they better cut the lights off and have fog machines going when this thing comes out onto the ice. This thing is absolutely electric. They should have had the cast from Ice Age on the Zamboni. Or those 8-ounce Tusks. Oh. And then finally, some news outside the sports world. Chopped Castaways from Food Network. A spinoff series stranding 12 elite chefs on a remote island. I love this. They're basically combining Survivor and Chopped. Chopped was getting out of control. I love the show Chopped. I used to watch Chopped all the time. It was incredible. And once they put it on Netflix, you could skip the ads. Oh, man. Chopped is electric. And it's still going. I don't even know how long this show's been going on. So, and then we're all in trouble because the Earth is tilting toward its next ice age in 10,000 years, new research reveals. So basically, we're in trouble. 10,000 years, basically, looks like Dustin Johnson would survive if this was how it was supposed to be. But who knows? Who knows where science will be by then? I mean, 10,000 years, we could be living on Mars. Who knows? But anyways. That's when it comes to New York sports, anything management will always continue to be a problem. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what the Giants are doing, but Harbaugh already having problems as soon as he gets in there. Ladies and gentlemen, what a show. Thank you to Spencer. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Subscribe to all the podcasts here, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Good Pods, all that stuff. Follow us on all the social medias. Go follow Spencer. The link is in our comments or in our descriptions, that sort of thing. Join the Patreon, join Discord. If you love golf, if you love betting on golf, you love just golf information, the guy is a wizard. It's incredible. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, let's hit the music and let's enjoy the Masters all weekend long. All weekend long. Everybody, You know what? We're probably going to do. Enjoy the Masters, everyone.